This is from CBSSports.com. Each AFC team's biggest training camp question. For the Browns, what is the status of Chubb and Cooper? And earlier we showed you Nick Chubb, lifting squatting almost 600 pounds on his reconstructed knee. But yeah, those are major parts of the offense.
Yeah, I think with Amari Cooper as well, how he adjusts to this new offense and what Ken Dorsey is going to dial up as far as these choice routes. Obviously, the sooner the Browns can get him into camp, get the deal done, the better it's going to be for everybody so that there's less of a kind of a rust period at the beginning where you can kind of get him going a little more quickly. He does have chemistry with Deshaun Watson already, so that's a positive. It's just, chemistry with a quarterback in a slightly different offensive system. It's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. And with Nick Chubb, like we talked about earlier, like I said, you already have Jerome Ford, Deontay Foreman, Naheem Hines. You can take your time with Nick Chubb. Those guys should certainly be good enough to hold the fort with the running game, especially with a much improved offensive line. I'm curious, how Andy Dickerson coming in from the Sean McVay tree, how that's going to influence the running game. And certainly, like you said before, the biggest thing is these guys staying healthy that they were last year. Although I feel, as I've said before, also, it feels very unlikely that they would be in a similar situation health wise. So, like we talked about at the top with Chubb, the Browns just need to be patient with him, and maybe you can save him for the second half of the season. And if he's anywhere close to where Nick Chubb was prior to the injury, then you have a fresh back who can certainly carry the load in the second half of the season when it's colder, when teams are getting more beaten up, worn down. And we saw it last season that the run game kind of tailed off a little bit because just the offensive line was just not nearly as good. So if you can get Chubb back late at the end of the season, like I said, even at 70 to 75%, that is much better than having no Nick Chubb. It just comes down to how they manage him these next several weeks and months.